Hey everybody, JJ. It is Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. Who is buying all the homes? In the middle of the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, skyrocketing unemployment, about half of small businesses are not going to be able to reopen. Economic nightmare, but yet home prices are still up year over year. People are still buying homes. And here's what we got on tap today. A lot of charts, inventory, and news to go over with you. Ultra low inventory because a huge number of sellers pulled their homes off the market. U.S. home prices up 3% year over year. The biggest job losses were at the lower income tier, non-home buyers. We're going to look at some charts on that. 3.9 million mortgages still in forbearance. That's about 7, almost 8% of all mortgages. Who is still buying? Let's get into it. Right, so first of all, home prices still up year over year, 3%. Not a very big gain, but still a lot more bigger gains than most people had anticipated because of the enormous damage done to this economy. Many people predicted that home prices were going to drop about now, and I've been saying on this channel for a while now, no, they're not going to let it fall apart until after the end of 2020, in my opinion, and so far I've been proven right. But let's take a look because we have a lot of information to get into. Let's take a look here at a Fed chart, and this gives us the inventory going back almost 5 years. Now we can see each here that the number of homes for sale dips because there's so much more buying in the spring and in the summer. So usually March, April, May you see the dip, and then as we go into late summer we see the inventory climb, then the following year the dip. Well, look what happened this year to the far right after the virus shutdown, and we know the economy shut down in mid-March. And normally that's the time when you start seeing a surge in homes being put on the market for that spring and summer buying season. This year that didn't happen. In fact, if you look at the fall of 2019 where we had almost 1.4 million homes on the market, we dropped down to 961,000 as of June, just last month. So naturally that's going to affect the supply and the demand, and the lower supply of homes on the market causing more demand and people bidding for the same home. And then you say, well, who's buying because there's so many job losses? Well, the people that were least affected by the shutdown were people that made higher incomes. It was the service sector employees and people in that sector that saw the biggest job losses. Let's take a look at a couple charts here. And this breaks it down into 3 different income tiers. The navy blue line here, the solid line, people making less than $35,000 were the hardest hit. Between 55 and 60% of people in that income category lost their jobs. And then 35 to 74,000 or 75,000 rather, the gold line, we saw about half of them lost their jobs. But the higher income individuals, 75,000 and higher, were the lowest. Only about a little over 40% of those people lost their jobs. So most of the job losses happen in the less than $35,000 a year income group, and of course those are the non-home buyers. It's really hard to buy a home now in the United States making less than $35,000 a year. Okay, so you've got a lot of factors coming together here. Low inventory. The people that make the most income, the 75,000 plus a year, had the least job losses, so that really didn't dry up the pool of buyers that much. And we're going to talk about the forbearance programs here in a minute as well. But just to put this into perspective, how many people making $35,000 are going to be buying a home in San Diego? The median home price just hit the highest at $600,000 in San Diego. And this is a San Diego Union Tribune.com article. If we go back to 2016, we saw San Diego home prices at $455,000. Here we sit now at an all-time high just over $600,000 mid-shutdown. So pretty amazing that home prices haven't dropped on the surface, but when you look at all the underlying factors, it's actually not too surprising. Also, add on top of that record low mortgage rates. Banks no longer have to have reserves in their vaults in order to lend, so you're going to see banks able to lend now without so many worries. And we've been talking about deregulation here for a long time on this channel. We're seeing heavy deregulation out of the current administration. Okay, let's talk about mortgage forbearance. 3.9 million mortgages are now in forbearance as of June. That's 7.8% of all mortgages. Now that's a huge, huge factor again on the supply side. If these people were not in forbearance, if they had to continue making their payments, well, a lot of them would not be able to do it because of all the job losses. So the inventory could have likely went much higher. Instead of going down, it could have even doubled, with all of the people that may have actually had to put their homes on the market because they could not make their payments. Or you could have had a lot of foreclosures hit, and it's been now 4 months since the shutdown. We would have witnessed millions and millions of more homes being put on the market, and that would have downward pressure on prices. So it is this intervention, it is this manipulation and outside forces coming into the market to hold these home prices up, to keep the housing market popped up, but it will not last forever. Eventually people are going to have to resume paying their mortgages. Again, nearly 4 million mortgages. Also, a lot of sellers that pulled their home off the market, they were waiting for this V-shaped recovery, which is not really materializing. Right? There was a V-shaped recovery in the stock market, but the real economy completely detached from the stock market. Also, you have to look at the rental eviction moratorium as well. Right? How many landlords are going to be able to maintain the cost of owning a home when they're not getting any rent? So that's a whole new pool of homeowners that are likely going to have to put their homes on the market once having no rental income finally catches up to them. Right? So it's just a matter of time. I again predict nothing serious, no big drops in prices until after the end of this year, but we'll have to wait it out and see. And remaining on the topic of job losses, well, we see that the V-shaped recovery actually failed, because now we've got an increase in jobless claims here with the re-shutdown of many parts of the country, especially here in California. As we enter shutdown 2.0 here in Cali, we see going all the way back to the shutdown, the initial jobless claims had decreased week over week up until just this past week. So could be a sign of more pain to come in the economy and job losses. Now we know that real estate is local. Even though only about 8% of all mortgages are in forbearance, it's worse in some places. Look at the Inland Empire here in California. That's Riverside County, San Bernardino County. 19% of those homeowners cannot pay. It's actually 9% in LA, and Orange County is 9% also. Let's wrap it up here with the chart out of Redfin. We see here to the far right, June 2020 up 2.8%. I rounded it up to 3%. But compared to previous years, home prices are still up a lot less than previous years. We see a few years ago, let's see here, 2013, home prices were up over 14% year over year. Now we're down to 3%, but still more than a lot of people expected with the shutdown. People had expected home prices to crash or dive now, but we've been seeing here there's a lot of intervention, moratoriums, low mortgage rates, low supply, bank deregulation, liquidity injections into the banking system, allowing banks to keep lending, no reserve requirement for the banks. And this is what happened when you live in a nation where you have too big to fail financial institutions, unlimited bailouts with fiat money out of the central bank. Right, I expect a big market early next year, and I'm not the only one. Here's an article out of Curbed.com. Home prices may be dropping soon. Here's why. And a lot of this is going to be similar to what we've been talking about here on this channel. Let's go down into this article. So why are economists now predicting home prices will eventually drop? Well, the summer boom is expected to cool off in the fall after the pent-up demand is satisfied. Under different circumstances, this would set the stage for something like a return to normalcy. However, supply and demand isn't the only factor at play. A number of federal policies enacted since March have helped stabilize the housing market. Exactly, what have we been talking about? Without these new policies, there would be almost certainly have been a wave of foreclosures across the country, reminiscent of what happened during the financial crisis 2008. So bulls and bears, this is simply just propping up a market that was destined to fall, destined to fail, destined to crash, if you will, depending on the severity. And they can keep it propped up as long as they want to. And the incentive to keep this propped up is going to be over here in just a very few months. and we're going to see how this unfolds together. Hopefully I'll see you back here on this channel. Thank you for watching. Alright, so let me know what you think down in the comments. Big pain ahead in the housing market. They're just delaying the inevitable. Come back for more economic news, finance updates on this channel. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your support. Hope you stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Thank you for watching again. Bye for now.